Welcome back, Band Millionaires, to another edition of the Be Always Marketing, Internet Marketing, and SEO Training. Today I'm going to talk to you about private blog networks and domain buying for them. You might know them as PBNs or PR domains or something along those lines, but they all mean the same thing. It's basically building your own private blog network using existing domains that have a history and some good statistics and maybe some page rank and domain authority and Moz Trust and so on and so forth. These things are just killing it these days with SEO. All the top SEOs are using them. Pretty much everybody with any crazy killer rankings are using them or some variation of them. So yeah, building your own private blog network is just about the best way to rank for anything these days, and one of the most foolproof and Google-proof ways of doing it. So I just want to go over a video of kind of how to pick a good PBN domain. Like I said, I'm probably going to call them PBNs mostly. I might slip up and say PR domain or private blog network. They all mean the same thing. PBN is basically just short for private blog network. I don't like to call them PR domains because people get too confused about using PR as the metric, and honestly that's one of the least things you should do. But anyway, I'll get into that later on. So anyway, this is how to choose a good PBN domain, sort of like a private blog network domain buying guide, if you will. So let's get right into it. First of all, a good domain will usually have some sort of brand name. This is like a business name or a person's name or unique name. If you get in those hugely like spammy ones, if it says like buy best Viagra online today, awesome super Viagra.com -- yeah, that's a horrible domain from the start. But domains that were an actual business or an actual person's blog or some sort of unique name that's kind of just not really anything that looks too crazy or spammy, that's a good place to start. Doesn't necessarily mean they have to be that way, but that's always a good place to start. You definitely want them to have a natural anchor text profile, a lot of brand links linking to it as the brand. If the brand is like, I don't know, johnsautorepair.com, then there's going to be a lot of links that say John's Auto Repair. Then you want a lot of them that say the actual domain name, johnsautorepair.com, with the www, without the www, with the http, without the http, and so on and so forth. Bare URL, a lot of just like click here, visit site, go here, this is it, here we go, a bunch of just completely generic, completely non-SEO, non-keyword anchored keywords. They have a lot of that, then you know that they, were probably a normal, completely regular site, probably haven't had a lot of SEO done for them, and probably aren't penalized, probably aren't seen bad in Google's eyes, and probably have a lot of good trust. You also want to make sure they have a lot of good backlinks, at least PR1, PR2, PR3 backlinks. Obviously the better, the higher PR, the better. You're not looking so much about the PR of the domain itself, but if they have a lot of backlinks from websites that have, actual PR, that's always a good thing. And again, you got to make sure it hasn't been spammed by SEOs before. If there's a ton of backlinks with keywords in it, or it has like thousands upon thousands upon thousands of backlinks, and it's not really the type of site that should have that many, and so on, it's probably been already SEO'd before and probably is not very good. You want to check its clean history, maybe check the Wayback Machine, and see kind of what kind of site it was, what kind of site it has been, if it's ever been kind of a shady site in any way, and things like that. You also want to make sure it's indexed in Google. You don't want to be buying a de-indexed domain. More than likely, something's wrong with it if it's de-indexed, or at the very least it's lost a lot of its power because it has been de-indexed or whatever. As far as like anchor text is concerned, you kind of want a bunch of just totally generic anchor text. If you go to Majestic SEO, for example, and you put the domain in there, it's going to give you a pie chart of all the anchor text, and you know, you want a lot of brand, the actual brand of the domain. You know, like I said, John's Auto Repair. You want a lot of the actual domain, just www.johnsautorepair.com. Several variations of that. Some, you know, what people would naturally link to. More than likely, you want to have like a lot of high percentage. You know, 25, 30, 40, even 50% or more to these other anchor text. They'll say other anchor text, which means there's so many random anchor texts that it's just not going to list them all, which means it has a very natural link profile. You want it to be as natural as possible. If it's got like 25%, you know, auto repair Los Angeles, and then 25% Los Angeles auto repair, and then 25%, you know, John's Auto Repair, and then 25%, you know, repair your car here, whatever. Yeah, obviously that's not natural at all. You know, that's, you know, 100% of the links are keyword anchored. 25, 25, 25, 25 have the same keyword. There's only 4 keywords to it. Very, very unnatural. Very, very not good. Anyways, I've already touched on a few things by telling you what is a good URL. I've kind of touched on some of the things that are bad, but wait, more than that, you don't want a keyword stuffed URL. Like I said, you know, if we're looking at like, you know, something like best way to cure baldness in 2014, and there's like a dash between the whole thing. That's super, super, super keyword stuffed. Like I said, the over-optimized unnatural anchor text, if there's so many high percentage of the anchors are keywords, that's really, really bad. Or if you see a bunch of foreign Chinese, this crazy foreign language keywords, that's bad. Usually means that's been spammed. Definitely if you see the words like Viagra or sex or porn or, you know, things like that, the things you get spammed all the time, never buy a PBN domain that has that stuff. Like I said, you want to make sure it is indexed, so it's bad if it's de-indexed. You don't want a domain that's de-indexed. And yeah, just you get a lot of, you can usually tell if it's bad. I mean, yeah, if it's just super, super spammed out with keyword anchors, or a lot of the stuff you see people spamming, you know, Forex and Viagra and cheap this and best that and blah, blah, blah. If it just is already, if it's already been obviously SEO, then yeah, probably one you want to pass on. You might get lucky, but probably not. Some of the things that you want to look for as far as the metrics are concerned, after you get past the link profile and the anchor text profile and the age and things like that, this is some very, very important stuff. Obviously, the page rank, people are really, really, really hung up on that, but it's something you really should not put as much emphasis on. You might call these PR domains, as in PageRank domains, but PageRank gets updated not very often at all. Very, very, very little, you know, like once a year anymore, maybe. And not only that, a domain can have fake PageRank. A domain could get its PageRank by just having a couple good big links to it. And if it loses one of those, the PageRank's going to drop. There's a lot of reasons why PageRank isn't that great of a metric. Yeah, it's nice to have. You know, if you can get one with PageRank and a lot of other great metrics, throw it in there. You know, you might as well look at it. You might as well check it out. But do not buy a domain only based on PR. I mean, I cannot stress that enough. Do not only look at PR. Do not buy a domain just because it has good PR. And do not think it's great because it has great PR. You want to look at domain authority. You want this to be 20 plus. This is something you can find by looking at Open Site Explorer. They'll tell you the domain authority and page authority, which I usually don't ever buy a domain with less than 20 domain authority, and page authority also at least 20, but usually that's higher, so you want it to be more like 30, possibly even 40. So definitely not less than 20. It's just not worth it. There's far too many good domains out there with better domain authority and page authority than that. But keep your domain authority at least 20. Keep your page authority at least 20, but I would actually shoot for more like 30 or higher. The next two good metrics to look at are trust flow and citation flow. You can get these from majesticSEO.com. You want your trust flow and citation flow to both be at least 10, but I would definitely shoot for higher. 10 was the bare minimum, and you always want your trust flow to be higher than your citation flow. It doesn't necessarily have to be. You can get a domain with good trust flow and good citation flow when the citation flow is better than trust flow, but if at all possible, you want the trust flow to be higher, and if you find one with the trust flow is higher, that's definitely one you want to look further into, and definitely one you want to have a possibility of. Another one is backlinks. You know, you want a domain with quite a few backlinks, maybe not tons and tons and tons, because if it gets tons and tons and tons, it's probably been spammed out or SEO'd or something. But definitely 100, 200, 300, you know, maybe even 1,000, whatever, a little bit more. It's hard to say exactly how many, but you want 100 plus. If you've only got like 50 backlinks, you know, it's probably not a very strong domain. You know, and if it loses a couple, then it's pretty much screwed. So you definitely want 100 plus easily. I would shoot for a little more. Referring domains, that's also very important, because if it only has, say it has 100 backlinks, but all of them are for one domain, guess what? You lose that one, you know, it might mean a sidebar or footer or something like that. 100, 200, 500 links from one domain. They take it down, it loses all of them, your domain is screwed. Same with 10, 20, 30. You want to get, you know, 50, 100, 200 referring domains for every, you know, so many backlinks you have. You definitely do not want them coming from only one domain or only a handful of domains. You want quite a lot of them. If you start losing some or whatever, you don't want to be totally screwed. And even if you don't lose some, the domain's really not that powerful. If it has, you know, a domain with 1,000 backlinks from 1,000 different referring domains is always better than a domain with 1,000 backlinks from one domain. So you definitely want that. Another thing to look for is like Moz Trust, Moz Rank. I don't put a lot of stock into it, but I definitely look for them to be at least 4. I mean, I don't think I've ever bought a domain that didn't at least have 4 on the Moz Trust, 4 on the Moz Rank. Usually you see them in the pretty decent 4 to 5 range if you get everything else between your domain authority, page authority, trust flow, citation flow, you know, backlinks, referring domains, and so on and so forth, page rank, all that stuff. You know, if all of those check out, you should at least have a pretty good Moz Trust and Moz Rank. So I would go with, yeah, 4 plus, maybe even 5 plus. I know I said a lot of things just now: domain authority, page authority, trust flow, citation flow, backlinks, referring domains, Moz Trust, page rank, and, you know, all sorts of other stuff, anchor text, and all these things. So you might be wondering where to actually check these things. Here's just a few places where I check some of these metrics. Checkpagerank.net is a good place to kind of make sure you have valid PR. It also gives you some other good information about if it's listed in DMOZ, listed in Yahoo, edu links, gov links, how many backlinks it has, if it's weak. There's a few things it gives you. And once again, do not trust any of these things on their own. This is a whole collaboration here. You want to make sure everything is, you know, at least decent or good or great before you buy the domain. Don't rely on any one of these tools or any one of these metrics. It's all, you know, kind of a group thing that makes a domain good. Another one, and this is huge, is moonsy.com. That's MOONSY.com. You can check a lot of things there. You can check domain age, backlinks, domain authority, page authority, Moz Trust, Moz Rank, and a whole bunch of other things. It's a great site. I definitely recommend using that for sure. OpenSiteExplorer.org, everyone knows that. You can get your domain authority, page authority, check your backlinks, anchor text, a bunch of stuff there. That's a Moz site. MajesticSEO.com, another big one. That's where you check your trust flow, citation flow. You can also check some backlinks, anchor text, and a whole host of other things. Ahrefs, that's ahrefs.com. It also gives you a lot of great data about the domain and you know what it's been used for, and the anchor text and the overall profile and links and a bunch of other great information. Another one is the Wayback Machine. I can't remember. I don't even know the URL. I always just type in Wayback Machine in Google. It's like internetarchive.org or archive.org or something like that. If you just Google it, you'll always find it. Type your domain into that, check its history, see what kind of site it was. You know, if it's been kind of a decent, normal, regular site, that's always good. If at some point in time it was turned into a, you know, crazy, spammy porn site or something, you definitely don't want that. But that's pretty much it as far as checking domains. A few other places, maybe as far as finding domains. Obviously, you know, auctions. There's GoDaddy auctions. There's a place called Register Compass. It costs money, but you can find some good stuff there. And PR PowerShot, that's another one that costs, but it's just a one-time fee, and you can find good domains there. Moonzy, I already mentioned that as far as checking metrics. You can always get domains there. And there's a bunch of them out there, but I prefer just buying from brokers, domain brokers, vendors, whatever you want to call them. There's a ton of them out there, like TB Solutions, Heist Domains. You know, there's a bunch. I don't know. I can't remember them off the top of my head. They're great. A great place to find them because they've already pretty much been checked out. You already know they're going to have pretty good domain authority, page authority, trust flow, citation flow, and backlinks and all that good stuff that I already mentioned. I would still check them out. I never buy them sight unseen. I never buy them blind. I always check them out. But it's a very, very fast and easy way to find it, at least find them and know that you're getting a good one and know what it's going to cost and just be ready to rock on it. You're going to pay more for them. There's no doubt about it. For the longest time, I didn't buy them there because I was cheap and always, you know, didn't want to pay the prices. But I learned long ago that it's far, far, far easier, much faster, and honestly, you don't pay that much more for them, especially after some auctions get ran up into the hundreds of dollars and you end up wasting tons of time and money. So I definitely go with vendors if possible. And I don't know, that's about it. You know, get out there, start finding your domains, building your private network, and just basically dominating every ranking you ever wanted. And until next time, bam!